Do you believe? Do you believe? That's my question to you right now at the top of the show. It's going to be the pinned comment, the very top of the comment section right there. Do you believe in this team right now? Can this team make the playoffs? Give me a yes, give me a no. Reply to the pinned comment on today's video because I want to start this show off right now and know who are my believers and who are the non-believers here on Texans Today. Because after what you've seen these past couple weeks, how can you not believe in this team? Playoffs? Playoffs? Not the regular season game we just played. We're talking about playoffs? Of course we're talking about the playoffs here on Texans Today because look at us now. Who would have thought? Who would have thought this team right now would be in playoff contention? But that's where we are right now. We're right in the thick of the wild card race in the AFC. And today, on this show, we're going to look at could the Texans make the playoffs? What is their path to the playoffs? And how does it look for the rest of the season? So the current AFC playoff picture looks a little something like this. Kansas City, number 1 at 7-2. Baltimore at number 2 at 7-3. The Jags are number 3 at 6-3. And the Dolphins are number 4 at 6-3. Here, they are your division leaders of the AFC West, AFC North, AFC South, and AFC East. The wild card teams, the Steelers at 6-3, they are the 5th spot. The Browns at 6-3 are the 6th spot. And your Houston Texans are sitting there at the number 7 seed at 5-4. And the Texans' playoff chances are a little something like this. The New York Times has a cool playoff predictor. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out online. Just search Texans playoff simulator, Texans playoff predictor. It says that the Texans have a 51% chance of making the playoffs. So I want everybody to play a game with me right now. I'm going to flip a coin. Heads or tails, call it in the air. If you get it right, the Texans are making the playoffs. Ready? Heads or tails? Tails. Tails never fails. If you didn't call tails, then you're not a real one. But for real, it's a coin flip whether or not the Houston Texans make or don't make the playoffs this season. And we'll be breaking it down every step of the way here on Texans Today. That's why you got to subscribe for the latest Texans news, rumors, all throughout the year, all throughout the offseason, the entire year. We're breaking it down here on Texans Today. And it's 100% free. So what's to lose? Subscribe in a week. If you don't like the show, if you don't like the channel, unsubscribe. It's all good, but at least give me a shot. Subscribe and give me a chance to be your provider of Texans news and rumors. So coming up, the Texans' path to the playoffs. How does it look? I mean, what teams do the Texans have to go through? What are the Texans kind of looking at going forward throughout the rest of the season? They're already 5-4 at this point. What does it look like throughout the rest of the season, though? The back half of the year, the second half of this season. I'm going to break down the remainder of the games and which are the key games that we got to look out for if the Texans are going to make the playoffs. But first, got to show some love to our sponsor of today's show. It's Game Time. Want to make your life like a movie? Well, just this month, Game Time has helped me do just that by getting floor seats to Adele and Drake in the past couple months. I'm telling you that right now. It is the best ticketing app out there. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute deals and seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concert, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you can pick a section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NFLChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem NFLCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, taking a look at the Texans' path to the playoffs. It's not going to be easy, or will it be? Let's take a look at the remaining games for your Houston Texans. This upcoming week, we take on the Arizona Cardinals. Then we got the Jags, Broncos, Jets, then Titans, Browns, Titans, Colts. So obviously playing a lot of AFC South foes. That's half of the games that the Texans have remaining. Half of them are against divisional opponents. And then the non-divisional opponents are the Cardinals, Broncos, Jets, and Browns. And according to the New York Times playoff simulator, the Texans are favored in the rest of their games. So if they win out, the Texans are definitely making the playoffs. That's 100%. But, I mean, could they do that? Could they win out? Could they just go on and just run the rest of this show? Maybe. I don't know. I have a quick question for you. And this is kind of what I wanted to take a look at on the path to the playoffs. What do you think is the toughest remaining game on the Texans' schedule? We just showed you the graphic. A lot of AFC South foes, a couple, non-divisional opponents as well. What do you think is the toughest remaining game on the Texans' schedule? I'm really interested to see what you have to say down in the comment section right now. The games I'm looking at is, I think the toughest game is going to be against the Jaguars. They're going to want a revenge game against the Texans after absolutely spanking them earlier in the season. But that stretch where it's Jaguars, Broncos, Jets, that's really where I want to key in on for the Texans' remaining schedule, because I think, obviously, you can't look past the Cardinals. They've been a tough team for a lot of different opponents this year. Surprisingly, the Cardinals have played a lot of teams tough. But I think in that stretch where it's Jags, Broncos, Jets, if the Texans can win 2 of those games, I think they're sitting pretty going into the remainder of their season, where they have the Titans twice, the Colts, and the Browns without Deshaun Watson. You didn't hear the news. Deshaun Watson out for the remainder of the season with a shoulder injury. But as we look at some of the playoff odds and kind of different scenarios the Texans could deal with, the Texans end up 9-8. So that means they only win 4 more of their games and they lose the other 4. They go 500 the rest of the year. They have a 33% chance of making the playoffs, according to the New York Times playoff predictor. They go 10-7. That number skyrockets up to 85%. They have an 85% chance to make the playoffs if they go 10-7. That means they're winning 5 of their games and they only lose 3. And if they go 11-6, a 98% chance. So your key number here is you got to win at least 5 of the next 8. If you win 6 of the next 8 and you only lose 2, you're looking amazing. But if you can win 5 out of the next 8 games, if you only lose 3 games the remainder of the season, you're sitting pretty there in the AFC wildcard race. And hey, if you win 11 games, maybe even some home field, maybe the AFC South title, I'm saying it's possible. They already beat the Jags. If they beat them again, if both teams have the same record at the end of the season, the Texans own the tiebreaker, they win the division. I think it is not far-fetched at all to say the Texans, they can win 6, 5, 6, maybe 7 out of the last 8 games, because if you look at the opponents that they have, I mean, you're playing the Titans twice, who they are somewhat of a train wreck this season, weeks 15 and 17 against the Titans. You play the Browns without Deshaun Watson. You play the Broncos, who have been one of the biggest roller coasters of the season so far. You play the Jets in week 14, and they just lost to the Raiders. The Jets, Zach Wilson, you don't know if he's going to throw 2 touchdowns or 3 interceptions in the game. And then at the very end of the season, you have a revenge game against the Colts in Indianapolis with Gardner Minshew. Will that be a crucial game for the Texans? I think if so, the Texans could win that game and earn a playoff spot. So I asked you at the top of the show, I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you believe? Do you believe in this Texans team? Do you think DeMeco Ryans and company can get this team to the promised land, can get them to the playoffs once again? We haven't seen it in a couple of years. Texans playoff football is so electric. I mean, if we can all go back to those home games against the Bengals, when Arian Foster's running down the sideline, just absolutely giving the business to the Bengals defensive backs. I mean, the J.J. Watt interception return for a touchdown. This team, whenever they're in the playoffs, it's something special. I mean, that game against the Bills with Josh Allen, where he just randomly pitched it backwards and the Texans ended up winning in overtime. I mean, when the Texans make it to the dance, they can make magic happen. I'm telling you this right now. No teams in the AFC want to play the Texans in wild card weekend. I can tell you that right now. The Texans are one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC that aren't leading their division. They would much rather play the Browns. They'd much rather play the Steelers if it came down to it. I'm telling you that right now, real talk. Out of all the AFC wildcard teams, the Texans might be the most dangerous. Now, that's going to be it for today's show. If you enjoyed what you're doing, if you enjoyed how the show went so far, great, I'm doing my job right. Go follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs for the Dakis memes and more Texans news and rumors. And maybe I'd ruffle some Cowboys fans' feathers up. Maybe, just mess around, troll some people. Go follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to the channel. We're the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. You can bet your bottom dollar because we're bringing you Texans news and rumors 24/7. So don't miss a beat. Don't miss anything around the Houston Texans. Go down and hit that subscribe button right now.